G.B.B, guys. Jay again. I'm joined by Shan's on the line as well. Shan's, what up?
What's going on?
Guys, so we've just seen Manchester United draw 1-1 with Wolves. In a game where it was pretty disappointing. I think there's definitely a few factors that we can go over for pretty much the reason for that performance. And obviously the result that we ended up with. But I'll come to you first, Shans. Shans, what was your take on that, man?
I don't think we played horribly. I mean, like you said, there's some positives to take away from the game. Pogba's performance, I thought, was fantastic. He worked the midfield really well. And our negatives, again, and sadly to say, was Sanchez. I mean, he held up play, but for the most part, he just doesn't fit the attacking style that we need, the pace, the injection, getting in behind defenders. Martial was much more effective at it and combining with Shaw. So for me, I mean, Sanchez was a purchase, almost I would say a rushed, panic purchase. But he's just not cutting the mustard for me. So on the whole, not a bad game because Wolves are a tough opponent. I mean, that Costa, young lad of theirs, was absolutely killing our right flank. So, I mean, good on them for coming to our home and getting a point, but room for improvement for United.
Yeah, I agree, and especially with your comments about Sanchez. I think whenever we've seen Sanchez as part of the starting lineup, we've played very disjointed football with Sanchez in the squad. Whether he's trying too hard to create something, it almost, he tries too hard and it nullifies his ability completely. I think Martial should have been a starter in that position. Obviously scoring a goal against Young Boys, he should have been given opportunity. I think that Delo should have been given opportunity as well. I think Valencia made one cross and didn't hit anyone. I think there was a real lack of continuity between our attack and, once we had the ball, we played it around, side to side instead of going forward. And when we did have the opportunity to get a cross in, Lukaku sort of was missing in this game. I don't think, he seemed unsettled. He didn't take his opportunities. He didn't really get into the game at all. And it showed. He had pretty much no shots on target in the first half. I think when the opportunities did come, he just didn't look like he was going to score. Sanchez himself, Lukaku, they didn't look like they were playing well together, like they were, linking up well. And even though he didn't play against Young Boys, he seemed to be in this game and he seemed to be fatigued or he just didn't have the pace of the game going. And I think that's going to be a very telling thing for Manchester United this season. It's almost as though we're either choosing between Martial or Sanchez. And given Sanchez's form and his lack of production playing on that left-hand side, I think Martial's a no-brainer to replace him. When Martial's not playing well, he gets dropped. No questions asked there. But when Sanchez is not playing well, he still gets a start pretty much every single game. I think Martial got the opportunity to play against Young Boys because he hasn't played very many games in the Premier League. So he got the opportunity there. And I think he took his opportunity by scoring the goal. Sanchez hasn't really done anything to justify his position, being a week-on-week starter. I think now he does need to be dropped for the next game. Yes, it's against Derby in the week. But I think he should be dropped for that game and the game that follows that as well. Because I just don't think, when you say Sanchez was a rush buy, I don't think he was a rush buy, but I think the opportunity to sign him presented itself, and we had to take that opportunity. I think we almost signed Sanchez just so that Manchester City didn't get a hold of him and, add another jewel to their absolutely glittering array. So I think we sort of did that to stop City getting a player. Obviously, we know Sanchez is world class. We know that he's got quality. We know that he knows the Premier League. But I don't think he suits our style of play, or it's not working. And when he's failed so much on that left-hand side, I can't understand why Mourinho doesn't put him on the right. We're still streaming out for a wing on that right-hand side that can, playing crosses. Valencia playing as, that right wing back, still gets forward, he beats his man, but he doesn't have the product in the final third to either put in the cross or make a pass that's going to see United score a goal. And that's really what it is. Probably the positives to take from the game, Fred obviously getting his first goal for Manchester United. Fantastic to see. It was against the run of play, and we were lucky to get the goal when we did. But then obviously Wolves put it on, and João Martinho, what a class player. I said in the preview, obviously, that he is a Champions League level player, and he pretty much bossed their midfield for them. Neves was also obviously a threat, and they really sort of showed up our midfield. And yet we got a midfield made up of Pogba and Fred, who's obviously a new signing, and Fellaini. Fellaini, I think, had a great game. Shans, was there anyone that really stood out for you for us? And then obviously, the threat that Wolves presented, who do you think was their danger man and pretty much in the end, got them the point?
Absolutely. I think the game itself, we were sort of matched pound for pound by Wolves, especially in that right back position. So for us, Shaw is just going from strength to strength, in my opinion. I'm sorry I ever doubted the lad, but it's good to see. It's really good to see that he's playing well, keeps going forward, he's fit, and he can be a star and lock in that role. For Wolves, Costa was just terrorizing that right side of our field. Cutting in behind the defense. We didn't have an answer for him, and it was from hard work and determination that his cross came to João Martinho for their goal. So I think without him, it would have been a 1-0 win for us. For them, one criticism I could say in there is Adama Traore. If he really gets a start and starts playing from the very beginning of the game, they can be a very, very deadly side, because him too, very determined, very strong, has the skills in that final third to do a job. So on the whole, we were matched, and that's only because Wolves are that brazen kind of team at the moment. They're not afraid to take on anyone at this point.
Yeah. After getting a result like a draw against City, that will give them confidence to go on and say, well, we can go with any team and we can give them a real push. And I think exactly how you said, if Traore starts games, he pretty much, once he came on, he was pretty much creating his own opportunities and almost taking them. There's a couple of saves that obviously De Gea had to make, and he troubled our defense to no end. There's a couple of times that he broke through on the counter, and he was, going for it all guns blazing, which is what you want to see from our players, from Sanchez, from Lukaku, from Lingard, and all the guys with that attacking ability. Manchester United has a lot of pace. We've got a lot of power in our squad, but we're not utilizing it, and we seem to be very nonchalant the way we went about the game. It was almost as if we were elected to win that game. As I say, Fred getting his goal was fantastic, but it wasn't the spectacular goal, and it wasn't a game-breaking goal that you thought, now that we've got this goal, we can go and we can push on. It was sort of a goal out of the blue, and we still played the way we played before getting that goal. And we obviously got taken advantage of because they were pretty much the better team. Again, Manchester United gets outplayed at home to a team that by all standings should be below us, but they played as a more cohesive unit, and it's shocking to say that so many times this season the opposition have been the better team. We've paid for it in games like against Brighton. But the game against Tottenham, if we had played the way that we did in that first 45, we would have easily have blown away Wolves. But we didn't. We turned up against the big teams and the lesser teams. We sort of take it for granted that they've got ability too. They've got skill and they've got the ability to score a goal. And it's cost us again. Mourinho obviously said in his press conference after the game that he was really disappointed in this game more than the Tottenham game. And I agree. Because when you play at home, the way that we did with that nonchalant, not really caring attitude and slow play, no flair, no attacking prowess, nothing. Lukaku arguably having probably one of his worst games. It's yet another reason to have a wake-up call to say, guys, we should be doing a lot better than what we did. But there are one or two positives, and let's hope we sort of learn this lesson, because it's a hard pill to swallow. But where the Premier League title is slipping away from us more and more, and it looks more and more likely that we're going to be fighting for top 4 as opposed to fighting for the title. Guys, we got our starting 11 in the preview. My team versus Shan's team. And of course, the players and the squad that Mourinho picks, we obviously get a point per player. And then we get a score reward, obviously, if we get the prediction right as well. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the teams, you'll see the results, and you'll see that I'm still on top of the ladder. As it stands, but Shans can always pull a smoky out. Guys, thanks for joining us. Please comment, subscribe, like, and share. Check us out on all the social media platforms. Shans, thanks for joining me again. And guys, we'll see you in the next one. Shot.